Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to do some fall ombre design. First, I would put on a base coat on the dip powder that I have already done. So that way you guys don't have to watch through the whole long video. Just focus on how I did this design, and so that way you guys can do it on your own. So my first step is I would put a base coat on, as always, to give it a good layer of protection. That way the color and whatever design you put on, it won't chip off so easy. Afterward, I would put a very thin layers of the pink color, light pink. I actually pick out two pinks, so I would use the light pink first. I just put a very light coat at the tips. As you can see, I skip one ring finger because that finger is for later to do a separate design. So I would just put it a light pink at the tip first. Just brush it on very lightly. Make sure it's not too thick of the coat because we're gonna do a couple layers there. Alright, and now I'm gonna use a sponge. This sponge is a special sponge. Make sure you guys find some sponge that is very light. I got this on Amazon and it worked very well. I have tried different store sponge. It's like a makeup sponge, right? And then I tried at Dollar Tree, and I also tried at a couple stores on Amazon, but there's only one store on Amazon that I really like because this sponge is so light, and then when you do it, it doesn't take away a lot of color or heavy. Alright, so now I'm going to do a second coat of the light pink on top. So this is my second layers. As you can see, I just do the same way as previous. I just do it very lightly, not too much. It just maybe a little, I would say it's like about 30% around the nail surface. And then I will lightly dab it again. And before, when I first started, I felt like every time after I finish with one sponge, just throw away. Over time I realized with a sponge you can actually use it many times and you still have no problem with it. So now what I'm gonna do a third coat of the pink. This time I'm gonna use the darker pink. This pink can give it a little bit more tone, so that way it's more visible when after you blend them in or fade it, the color. So now it will give you a smoothest transition between those two tones. And I have another tip for you guys. As always, put a light color at the bottom and dark color at the top. That's the best way for you to do an ombre. So now my third coat is to put a after I finish with my third coat, actually I put a top coat on top because we're about to do a French over this ombre, a very fine thin French. So I just put a top coat. It's non-wipe top coat. There's no cleanse, so there's no need to wipe. So because of the other hand, it's very hard for you guys to see how I did the arch, how I'm gonna do the arch for the French. So I decided to film it, cut it, just use it on the left hand side so you get the better view of how I did the French on top of the ombres I already make it. So now, as you can see, it's the French. I make it very small line because you don't want to make it so thick it will cover up the ombre that you make. With the French, always go from left to right if you use your right hand. That way you can form a perfect arch. And with just one swipe through, and you're all done. Don't go back and forth. The more you do it, it becomes a habit, and then end up like you doing so much, and then it's just wipe away all this white, and then the line is not perfectly accurate. All right, now come to the final step is to put put some sugar coating on top of the this finger that we left off, because this lady, her request is to get a little coating and put on top of it. So the secret to making this sugar coating work is to put the top coat at the bottom and then use the coating, put like dust on top. Usually I have one is in the jar. It's much easier. You just dip your finger in there, so that way it give it even coat. When you drop it like that, sometimes some spot cannot be covered, but we just gotta do what we have, right? Do our best to make the design that our customer requested for. So all you have to do is put one layer the top coat and then cleanse underneath and put this on top and cure it. So now you can, before you dry the finger, you can try to press it in, so that way it won't stick out so much, because you will feel the texture after it dry out. And once you're done with this kind of design, you do not put another top coat on top, because if you do that, it will make the coating, the texture go away, or it won't have that kind of look anymore. It's kind of weird. Before I would think like I have to do that, but over time I was like, that's not the right way, so we have to leave it off. So my final coat is just to put a top coat over the rest of my nails, and we'll finish up with the design. And that's pretty simple and quick. It doesn't take long, and then you will get the perfect look like fall. And there's so many different ways you can do it. Just be creative and come up with your own idea and mix up the different color and test it out. And the best way to get it done quick without making a mess, in my opinion, is to use the sponge. So with that finger, as you can see, after I finish with everything, I tend to use a file to smooth out the edges, because what happens is if you don't, it can easily catch on stuff, because this finger has texture in it. You can feel the jewels lay on top to give that perfect look. Here's the final product. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you next time.